5 reasons why Donald Trump could win the 2024 election. And I'll say could now because nothing at this point is guaranteed. Number 1, the most obvious and certainly the most topical reason at least, he just survived an assassination attempt and took perhaps one of the coolest photos of all time. The second reason, the negative stigma around Donald Trump and supporting Donald Trump is largely gone. In 2016, there was famously a hidden Trump vote. Unfortunately, as I don't think this is good for politics, there has been that negative stigma surrounding Trump for many years, as there has been a perceived and real in many instances social cost of openly being for Trump, meaning depending on the industry you work in, the area of the country you live in, there has been a social cost sometimes, even if it's perceived, of being openly for Trump. And I think if you are to deny this, it's to deny reality. In 2015, if you said you liked Trump, people would literally laugh at you sometimes.
And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
I've seen more and more tweets lately of people just saying, look, I support Trump and it is what it is. Here's a tweet here recently that I saw. It's saying, it's starting to feel like the contrarian stance in Silicon Valley is to not be a Trump supporter. And that is truly an unimaginable shift in the Overton window in just the last few months. And Silicon Valley, of course, is in the liberal state in general of California and has largely been seen, as this poster on X points out, it's generally been a pretty liberal place. The number 3 reason why Trump could win the White House. Donald Trump's current opponent, Joe Biden, is in apparent cognitive decline. Even if the debate and a few of his television appearances following the debate are somehow all exceptions, the public perception is now that he is experiencing at least some level of cognitive decline. And like I said, the degree to which Joe Biden is in cognitive decline could be debated, I guess, to some extent, but the perception is really what matters here. And according to this poll, and there's other polls like this, but this poll here, 80% of voters concerned about Biden's cognitive health. And to the idea that Joe Biden is going to be swapped out for some other Democratic nominee following his very poor debate performance, I think they've already waited far too long.
Joe Biden sought this debate at this remarkably early time because he knew he was losing and he needed to change the narrative. And he did change the narrative. He sunk his campaign tonight.
There is absolutely no way any of us could have predicted this. Oh, wait, read the room, Democrats. You have put up a candidate that nobody wants.
And so even though George Clooney wrote that op-ed in the New York Times, the calls for Biden to drop out following this debate have been far from unanimous. And so I think too much time has passed. There's already been too many people publicly disagreeing with the idea of Biden being replaced. And if they actually did switch him out now, I think it would lead to an incredibly divided Democratic Party. I mean, they could try and switch to Kamala, but that would make many Biden supporters who voted for this guy in the primary upset. Here's a clip of the crowd at a recent rally for Biden.
Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? Here's mine. I am running and we're going to win. I'm not going to change that.
And this isn't even mentioning any other potential candidates. There are some people who want Biden to be replaced, but not with Kamala, with somebody else. If they did manage to do this and skip over the first potentially female black president, they're going to upset, I think, for sure, a key Democratic Party voting demographic.
I'm going to be direct.
Yep.
God help me. You may never have me on the show again.
You don't even have to say it. We understand.
Nobody wants to knock out an African-American woman and be held responsible for that.
Right.
And that is the truth.
And immediately following the debate and a few days after, Kamala Harris actually passed Joe Biden in the betting markets for next U.S. president. However, that has since reverted. And that's to my point where I just believe Democrats have let too much time pass by. If they're going to do it, if they were going to do a switch, I think they've missed their window. So it looks like Democrats are going to be stuck running Joe Biden, again, the candidate where 80% of Americans believe is in some level of cognitive decline. Surely that's not an optimal situation. Number 4 reason why Donald Trump could win the election. This might be a little bit of a weird one. This could and perhaps should have more attention to it actually, but I'm going to put key issues into this reason number 4. And because it kind of seems like certainly lately, issues have been discussed much less in this election cycle. I know that kind of happens probably every election cycle. The issues get discussed probably less than people would like, but because of Biden's very poor debate performance and the attempted assassination, issues have sort of been pushed to the back burner for now, but they obviously do still matter, so I'm going to cover them for sure. But here are 3 key issues in this election that Donald Trump polls better than Joe Biden in. First issue I'm going to cover here, economy. Now, if you just look at the stock market, Joe Biden is doing just fine. The stock market continually roars to new records seemingly every single day, like the last few days, but even before that, the stock market has been going up and up and up, especially in the last year or so. But this brings up a very interesting question, I think. If the stock market is doing so good, and to be clear, it is, the stock market is crushing it, how is the incumbent president of the United States sitting at 37% approval with an under 20% chance, or maybe just around 20% chance of winning re-election in the betting markets? That kind of, just on its face, doesn't make any sense. But the answer, of course, is because the stock market has become seriously disconnected from how the average person experiences the economy. Median salaries in the United States are generally flat. Maybe they're up a little bit, but they're generally pretty flat, certainly compared to the net worth of the top 1% of people. And get this, the top 10% of Americans now own 93% of the stock market. To be clear, this has been happening under Republican and Democratic presidents alike. The wealthy continue to get wealthier, but this has happened to a large extent as well under Joe Biden's presidency. And for a guy in his speeches where he talks a lot about the middle class and building the economy from the ground up or middle out and stuff,
The days of failed trickle-down economics are over. We're building an economy from the middle out and the bottom down, so that when that happens, the middle class does well, the poor have a shot.
the wealth gap's still going way, way up under Joe Biden's administration. For most Americans living in Joe Biden's economy, it's not clear that things are getting better. Home prices are up 30% since Joe Biden took office, and there has been inflation well above the 2% target for most of Joe Biden's term.
Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%.
Interest rates also remain high, which make it even harder for people to pay for the American dream via home ownership. The economy is generally the number one issue in elections. If not number one, it's always right near the top. And Donald Trump consistently polls better than Joe Biden when voters were asked who would handle the economy better. And I'll cover two more issues really quick here. The first one of those two, at least, immigration. In America and throughout the West, attitudes have shifted on immigration. Illegal immigration and people coming up to the southern border has been very topical lately. It's been in the news a lot in the last few years. And Donald Trump polls better on who would handle immigration. Immigration is also an issue that's been rising up the charts in terms of how much of a priority American voters put on it when they're weighing their options come election time. Now, the other issue real quick, cover foreign policy. With active wars in Russia, Ukraine, and Israel and Palestine, foreign policy has been in the news lately as well, a lot, just like immigration has. And Donald Trump is generally seen as better than Joe Biden when you look at polls handling this issue. In fact, Joe Biden's approval rating right now with regard to foreign policy is extremely low. Only 32% of people approve of the job he's doing right now as it relates to foreign policy. And finally, the fifth reason I think Donald Trump and the Republican Party could win in 2024 is cultural reasons. Some of this stuff is a bit hard to measure, but the Republican Party, in my opinion, looks like the party having more fun, the party that's more hopeful, the party that's more proud to be American. The Democrats have become the party of finding the correct mix of diversity, and if you don't, you're problematic, of canceling people for the wrong political opinion, whether it be Russia collusion, the COVID lockdowns, or funding some foreign war. If you have the opposite opinion of the Democratic mob, that's a big problem.
He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
Yeah.
And certainly as it relates to Donald Trump, on the Democratic side, if you say anything positive about anything Donald Trump has done ever, that's, again, to use the word of the probably decade for the Democrats, problematic. The Democrats, at least in my opinion, look like the party of no fun. In pop culture, for example, if you watch late night talk shows like Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel or the Oscars or any award show, everything is an impending catastrophe. Every current event that comes up is the potential end of the world. It's all doom and gloom over there. A bunch of rich people lecturing the world about how your gas stove and the road trip you're taking is causing climate change.
Climate change is real. It is happening right now. It is the most urgent threat facing our entire species. Thank you all for this amazing award tonight. Let us not take this planet for granted.
Why Trump would be the worst president ever.
I'm going to say one thing. Fuck Trump. Trump.
And why Harrison Butker speaking to Catholic students is the most misogynistic thing that's happened all year. It all seemed just like a scavenger hunt on the Democratic Party side to find misery and to make people sad. And now on the Republican side of pop culture, again, this is my opinion, but it looks like more fun. It's hard to say exactly which of these shows or like which of these performers are necessarily more Republican. But for example, a comedian like Shane Gillis, who by the way does a Trump impression in a much more balanced way than Alec Baldwin ever did or any of the current cast of SNL.
Young Drew Nickens here.
I thought he did a great job. I thought everybody in this room was totally captivated. And everyone understood exactly what he was saying. And he didn't scare anyone. No one was scared, and everyone knew exactly what you were saying. I think you're a great American.
He loves you. Drew, are you voting for Trump in November?
I voted for RFK Jr.
I thought his set was absolutely terrible. What a complete mess that set was. What an embarrassment, truly. Everyone was scared. No one understood him. He, frankly, came off worse than anyone yet.
Shane Gillis, to me, looks like a guy having a lot more fun than the late-night comedians who just come out there every day, literally every day, and try to tell you why Donald Trump sucks.
But don't you dare buy it. Trump is just as insane and as fascist as ever.
And even the very popular podcast Joe Rogan, who's not a registered Republican by any means, but he has been saying positive things about Trump lately and has been lately more critical of Joe Biden.
And he goes, I can't vote for Trump. And I go, I would vote for Trump before I'd vote for Biden.
And I think another example of the changing culture is the incredibly popular weekly show Kill Tony. The 2 hour or so, hour and a half, whatever, long comedy show where every race and religion gets roasted by the hosts and just the people that are performing, the crowd, everybody. But nobody throws a hissy fit and tries to cancel each other. It just looks like a bunch of people getting along and making fun of each other. And again, I don't know if it's necessarily like Republican or conservative, but it takes place in Texas. And at least one of the regulars on the show has said that he's for Trump.
David, the election is right around the corner. Who are you hoping gets nominated?
Hey, Trump, because he was giving us that money during the pandemic. That's my sugar daddy. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Trump 2024.
Hey, I was sending everyone $15 on Venmo. You just didn't have the internet. That's on you.
Yeah, fuck that, bro. I'm voting for Trump. Y'all know who I'm voting for. It's not a secret.
All right.
Yeah. Not you.
And if you contrast the show Kill Tony, Shane Gillis, even a guy like Theo Vaughn, these kind of up-and-coming podcasters / comedians.
I mean, I seen you met like Donald Trump or something.
I saw him at the fight last weekend.
Oh, last weekend?
Yeah, I saw him at the fights the other day.
Comparing that to the very popular liberal talk shows of 10 years ago, which are still pretty popular, but they don't have such a stranglehold like they used to on culture, but of like the Seth Meyers and those guys. In my opinion, the one side looks way more fun. And these shows I'm mentioning, by the way, are not political at all. So if you think I'm off base here, let me know in the comments. But that is the way I feel. I think in culture, it is becoming more cool and more accepted and, just like I said, more fun to be conservative, to be Republican, to be pro-Trump. So with that said, those are my 5 reasons I think Donald Trump could win the 2024 election. Number 1, surviving an assassination attempt, incredible. Number 2, the negative stigma around Trump being generally gone. Number 3, his opponent, Joe Biden, in apparent cognitive decline. Number 4, some key issues such as immigration, economy, foreign policy. And number 5, the cultural reasons of, I think culture is shifting towards Republican and conservatism. So with that said, let me know at all if you disagree or agree in the comments either way. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.